I don't know what to tell you about those 4 blocks. He's swatting balls, volleyball style. He's doing everything.
How the hell you do that in 17 years? It was LeBron's night.
LeBron had that look before Game 3. It translated to the court. 36 points, 4 blocks. He did it all as the Lakers took a 2-1 series lead. Is this the same look before Game 4? The Rockets sure hope the outcome is different. It's Lakers and Rockets. Game 4, the best-of-7 series. Tip-off at 4 o'clock over on TNT. Since 1985, the Lakers have won 27 of their last 28 series when they hold a 2-1 lead. Hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet. Lakers brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. I'm Chris McGee. Big game, James Worthy. Big shot, Robert Ory. We got Allie Clifton here as well. Trudell's down the hall. Brez will be joining us a little later on. He's working remotely. Hi, Rob.
What's up?
How you doing?
I'm great.
Let's get right to it because we got a lot to talk about. Lakers superstars have now gained the advantage the last 2 games as the Lakers lead 2-1. LeBron and AD combined for 62 points. AD and LeBron are starting to get into some Kobe Shaq territory, rarefied company for best winning percentage all time for a duo. At a 952 clip for Shaq and Kobe, 944 clip for LeBron and AD. They are 17-1 when they reach that 60-point combined plateau. That is impressive. So after coming up on the short end in Game 1, guys, they've dominated the past 2 games, 17-1 when scoring combined 60. That's an impressive number. James and Rob, the thing to me, they dominated on the defensive end as well. It's not just about the points. Yes, the Lakers need that to win those games, but man, were they good defensively, those 2.
And that just goes to show you, from the beginning, when AD came here, when Coach Vogel came here, that was one of the first things that they talked about they wanted to establish is defense. AD said he wanted to be the most valuable defensive player. And so they established that early, and they've always had that. Before all this COVID-19 stuff happened, they were a steady defensive team, and that's what's kept them afloat when they haven't had the offense, when they haven't been able to shoot the threes. So in the NBA, there's only 2 things to win championships, and that's defense and rebounding. Yeah. And you have to do those before you can even think about any kind of high-powered offense you have. And they seem to understand that. It definitely has kept them afloat in the bubble. So if they could sustain that, continue the defense, collectively, they've been doing a good job. It's not just LeBron blocking shots. It's Caruso doing the vertical on Harden, understanding how to play. Rondo coming in, stripping Harden a couple times. He's been studying film. So, yeah, the defense is critical from here on out.
He pretty much said everything then, but
I read your notes.
Yeah,
I read your notes, Rob.
You think if you look at the defensive scheme, it's been pretty good. It's almost, I won't say perfect because nothing in this world is perfect, but it's been pretty damn good. And the thing about their defense is the communication. Yeah. When Rondo's out there, it's a totally different defensive team. He's communicating, they're talking, they're getting guys to rotate, and they're getting in the gaps. And I don't think a lot of teams that play defense understand you have to get in that gap. And what I mean, Ben, that's the passing lane, so it can slow down that pass so it can't be a catch and go. It has to be a catch, look at the defender, then pass it. And that split second allows the other defender to rotate or guys to get in position to help. And like they always say, you got to find someone to help the helper, and that's what the Lakers are doing on defense.
Yeah, we said this series was a lot about the superstars. Harden and Westbrook combined for 63 in the loss. You 2 know this. You guys have played with some of the greatest, literally, to ever play the game. And when you get into a series, you always expect those superstars to kind of do their thing, and it often comes down to other guys on the team that are going to hit the big shots, that are going to play the defense. The bench will play a role. Lakers bench outscoring the Rockets 42-16. Rondo, Kuz, Caruso, Morris. They're having a great series, Rob.
Oh, they have a fantastic series. And that's the big dogs are always going to get the praise, and they're always going to get everything that comes with playing basketball. But they know if they don't have what Shaq likes to call the others, their teammates, they know they can't go far because you got to have guys step up. And the thing about the bench players and not the top 2 guys or 3 guys on the team, it's going to be nice when you're on, it's going to be nice when you're off because you don't get the advantage of having the rock in your hand to get a rhythm for it. You don't have the advantage to get up 20 shots to get a rhythm. You have to be ready on point. So if you come out there and you knock down 3 or 4 like Morris did in that game, you got to keep going to, because you know it's a special moment for that guy. So when these guys collectively step up and they're all stepping up, the other team is going to be on point and be worried about it.
Yeah, I bet you if you ask any elite player or, championship players, pedigree who won, they'll say, yeah, we had, like Kobe had Shaq. But I guarantee you they'll say, yeah, we had Big Rob coming off the bench, vital for our championship victors. Or they might say Derek Fisher. There's always a player coming off the bench that's vital to winning championships. And that's what this bench has been doing, man. I give a lot of credit to Rondo since he's come back. They've really enhanced the bench because they have a floor general out there. But, Kuz learning his role, not worrying about his shots, getting offensive rebounds, playing defense. Caruso's, his plus minus is, off the chart. So they complement their starters really well. One of the best in the league.
Jeff Green was the only Rockets player off the bench to score. He scored 16, but Daniel House did not play. He's got some explaining to do, and some news on the Daniel House story here from Chris Haynes of Yahoo. Houston Rockets guard Daniel House under investigation for potentially allowing a female COVID-19 testing official into his room. Rob, your former teammate, Vernon Maxwell, trying to give the Rockets bench some help, saying this: I don't know who needs to hear this, but Dream, Big Shot Bob, Mario, Clyde, Bull, and myself are all available for Game 4. Just saying. Before we get to House.
I'm not available. I'm telling you that now, unless you offer.
Can you not give the Rockets 15?
Hey, if $3 million a game, I'm available. Other than that, I'm coming at a price. So for a price? I come at a price.
Nowadays, with the amount of three-pointers, you'd be averaging 18 a game.
Hey, you got to know this. I win every other year, so I'm guaranteed to win if I played.
That's true.
And so it comes with a price.
Got to come.
Yeah,
I'd do it for $300,000.
Back to House. I mean, I'll say this. She's the one administering the COVID tests. I don't know how much we want to get into this, but looks like he's kind of under investigation. Rob.
Man, it's the bubble.
Maybe he didn't
man.
have a +1. I don't know his story.
It's the bubble, man. You got to understand, guys who are in shape have tendencies to want to do some things, man. And you in that bubble for that long, you can make some bad decisions. And apparently he made some bad decisions.
That's what they're saying, big game.
I guess basketball wasn't that important to him.
Listen, we can debate it all day long. If it's wrong,
we can enjoy it. It's a good
having some fun with it.
Fun point.
I wish he was playing.
Humans will be humans. I can't throw rocks at a glass house. We make mistakes. Unfortunately, his comes during a tough time. But yeah.
And there are rules.
Yeah. You get caught, you got to pay the price.
For the latest on Game 4, let's send it down the hall to Lakers reporter Mike Trudell. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for throwing that over to me there. Yeah, I'll try and bring this over to something real. Although, first of all, Game, who's to say that you would play for the Rockets? I believe you have some rings playing for the Lakers, no?
That's correct, man.
More rings.
Highest bidder, dog. Highest bidder. When it comes down to the dollars, you go to the highest bidder.
He's an assassin. 7 rings for a reason. All right. Well, I did want to ask Frank Vogel about Daniel House, so that'll be the second question. But wanted to start with that Lakers second half defense, which was particularly good in the fourth quarter, not just in Game 3, but in Games 1 and Games 2. Houston averaging only around 21 to 22 points per game in the fourth quarter. Part of that because James Harden is not scoring. He's actually, guys, had 5 points in Games 1, 2, and 3. No more than 5 points in any fourth quarter to this point. So that's where we started with Frank Vogel a couple moments ago.
We made some halftime adjustments, to tighten up our defense. I don't want to really get into the details of those, but within those adjustments, we really just brought better energy and commitment to what we're supposed to be doing. And obviously, with LeBron making those superhero plays, that limited the points in the paint as well.
Frank, what did you think of how Houston looked without House? Because it looks like they're not going to have them once again. This one rotation player, can that make a big difference? And is that something you guys were able to take advantage of?
Well, it definitely impacts their depth, but they have McLemore has not been playing a lot, and he'll get House's minutes. Austin Rivers will get some of House's minutes. Those guys are both very effective players, so I anticipate them being able to pick up the slack.
Allie?
Dan?
Frank, you guys have pretty much retained your rotation to essentially lead guys as far as these last 2 games. Is there any concern that as the series goes on, they're how close they can watch ahead and maybe expanding it?
Yeah, I don't really like to talk about what we're going to do going forward. Don't want to tip our hand, but you know, it is something. You know, honestly, if I was playing 10 people, I'd still keep an eye on minutes with all of our guys. And you know, with this situation, if I play a shorter rotation, it would be no different. We still want to keep you know, an intelligent eye on the minutes and the load. So it wouldn't be any different.
Obviously, no one really knows exactly what's going on in the situation, but do you use that as an opportunity to kind of remind your players after 2 months and everything has been successful here to like really stay on guard? Is that discussion?
Yeah, honestly, I don't feel like our group has to have that talk. You know, I trust that, like we've been through this for a couple months now. Our guys are really locked in to the task at hand. And you know, obviously, that the situation is a reminder. You know, but they're seeing it on their phones, and you know, obviously, you know, we don't want to do anything like that.
All right, so the Rocket that actually ended up getting the most minutes last game, guys, in the absence of House, was Jeff Green, who played 35 minutes off the bench, almost like another starter. Rivers and McLemore are both under 10 minutes, so we'll see if Houston keeps it that tight. Now, for more on the House situation, back to Geeter.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Mike. Appreciate that. We'll be talking about it during commercial break. All right, that's Mike Trudell. Plenty more ahead here on Access Sportsnet Lakers. As we go inside the bubble, the Lakers have a 2-1 lead without a significant offensive contribution from KCP. He's averaged just 5 points on 29% through the first 3 games. He's due for a breakout. Coming up on Access, playoff Rondo is real, and he's spectacular. Ahead, we'll discuss Rondo's impact heading into Game 4. Rondo has that alpha dog style mentality.
Rondo, how do you prepare for that?
The Lakers don't have a third guy. Rajon Rondo is saying, yes, we do.
Rondo, I got to tell you, he's amazing.
He should be out there because he's a gamer and he has so much influence and presence on the court.
You're only as good as your coach believes in you.
You know, all season I expected this come this time of year. You know, he's been spectacular the last 2 games.
I can't do it without my teammates. You know, my teammates been doing a hell of a job of giving me the ball, giving me confidence.
Rondo hits another one. Big shot for Rajon Rondo.
Playoff Rondo.
Is there something to that playoff Rondo thing?
I don't buy into it.
Whatever makes Doe continue to play like he's playing, then, you know, I don't buy into it then either. But he's been exceptional.
Rajon Rondo, he might not be buying into playoff Rondo because it's him, but we all do.
It's real. Playoff Rondo is real.
Rajon Rondo came to play in Game 3 against the Rockets, especially in the fourth quarter. Just look at the numbers. 12 minutes played, 12 points, 5 assists, scored or assisted on 23 of the Lakers' 30 points in the quarter. So what does Rajon Rondo think about the playoff Rondo talk? He discussed it after the Game 3 win.
I don't buy into it. You know, like I said, it's, you're only as good as your coach believes in you. And I've been able to get a little bit more minutes in the playoffs. But like I said, I can't do it without my teammates. You know, my teammates been doing a hell of a job of giving me the ball, giving me confidence, and coaching, calling plays for me, and we're able to get stops to get on the break.
He just has an ability to, you know, to orchestrate a game like very few players that I've ever been around. And you know, everybody else feeds off of his energy. But not just with the basketball. You know, what he's doing defensively. You know, at certain times, picking up Harden, you know, being a real communicator on the defensive end, and you know, getting us involved, and you know, just a great two-way performance by him.
At the end of the day, whatever makes Doe, you know, continue to play like he's playing, then, you know, I don't buy into it then either. But he's been exceptional these last 2 games. Obviously, that first game he hadn't played in a while, so it was a fill-out game for him, just like the rest of us. But these last 2 games is everything that we've imagined being in the postseason. And for me, being in the playoffs and being on the opposing side of him for so many years, I knew what he's capable of, especially in the postseason against those battles. So to now be on the same side as him and seeing, it coming together for the both of us and for our team, it's perfect.
I experienced it firsthand a couple years ago with him in New Orleans, and it's real. The playoff Rondo is real. His intensity picks up. He wants to guard, the best perimeter guy. You see he guards James and Russ sometimes. He wants to, facilitate on the floor. He's shooting the ball very well, making the right passes. So his IQ is on another level.
By the way, to regular Rondo, playoff Rondo is real, in case you didn't know. He's been the topic the last couple of games, as it should be. The impact has been like MVP type of series play, James.
Yeah, when you think about, veteran guards who extend their career and are still productive, I think, he's not exactly like CP3, but he's that type of point guard that still has it and can produce and enhance everybody else. So he's always been a student of the game. Rob watches a lot of film, coaches younger players. So, yeah, he's a major asset, especially in the absence of Bradley.
The thing about Rondo is he can turn it up another gear. When you win a championship, it's an addiction. And he was able to win those championships with that green team, and it puts you on another gear. It puts you in another level because it's playoff time. And all of a sudden, the light comes on. Usually it's a little bulb. It's 100 watt. Now it's like a 500 watt.
Yeah.
Now he's ready. His light shines brighter during the playoffs, and he knows what's at stake because it goes to that play or go home attitude. And he wants to keep playing so he doesn't go home.
You were here game 2, and then Karan game 3.
Correct.
But you saw both games. What impressed you the most about those 2 games with Rondo?
It was the fact that he came out and he shot the basketball. Because there'd be times when Rondo would get the ball open, he would be reluctant to shoot the ball. Now he's taking that shot because he knows if I knock this down, it's going to make it easy for everybody. And then when I penetrate, it's going to open up gaps and open up shots for everybody. So that was one of the things. But the other and the most important thing was his communication, like I said, on the defense of getting people in position and taking the ball out of LeBron's hands so he can get some rest.
I can't get away from him picking James Harden in consecutive games to like clean going for layups. That was kind of crazy to me, but you just hit on it. James, how much pressure has he taken off LeBron, AD, and others with his playmaking ability? That's something the Lakers always lacked when Rondo was not on the court.
Yeah, during the playoffs, especially during the playoffs, tons. Taking off tons of pressure, especially off LeBron, who for most of the game, with the exception of like Caruso coming in and handling a little bit, it's a lot of pressure on LeBron. He's not a navigating blow-by quick guy. He kind of, pounds it, and then he makes a good pass unless he's in transition. So with Rondo coming in there, a true point guard. He's a real point guard, one that knows the coach, his ratios, know what the coach wants. And, it's not by accident, we said this the other night, that Morris got those threes, that Danny Green get comfortable shots, and that when he's navigating in the lane, Kuz makes his cut, and he finds that. That's because Rondo knows how to play the game. So, it takes a lot of pressure off the 2 big elites.
All right, straight ahead on Access, the Purple and Gold hold a 2-1 series lead against the Rockets. Up next, Allie Clifton, Mike Bresnahan discuss. Lakers-Rockets series, Game 4, coming up at 4 o'clock on TNT. Game 5 is Saturday at 5. That is an ESPN game. Game 6 and 7, if necessary, will be on Monday and Wednesday, of course. We will have all your pre- and post-game coverage. Let's bring in Allie Clifton, our Laker insider, Mike Bresnahan, with more. Allie.
Thanks so much, Geeter. Hello to you, Brez, as we take a look at your three-point play, 3 things that you were looking forward to in this game. And we begin with what you think the Lakers need to do in order to create some separation here in this series.
Yeah, 4 simple words for the Lakers, if I may give them some advice. Keep playing great defense, all right? And who am I, just a reporter, turned into a TV fool? But obviously that second half was really, really key for the Lakers, holding the Houston Rockets, of all people, to 38 points in that second half. That's a huge, huge step right there. Now, here's the deal. After the third game in the first round against Portland, I feel like the series is over. We had seen Portland's best shot. Lakers were in control. I don't necessarily feel that way right now. Houston has just so much firepower. The Lakers have to keep that defensive stranglehold on them for sure. And I'll tell you what, LeBron was amazing in that third quarter, 4 block shots. Amazing defense by him. Cannot forget Alex Caruso and Kyle Kuzma. Great defensive efforts by them pretty much the entire playoffs. And, of course, Rondo kept picking James' pocket. James Harden, that is. That's twice in the last 2 games he's done that. Great defensive effort all around.
My number 1 point, Brez, you're not a fool. You're full of wisdom, especially when it comes to the game of basketball. Number 2, the guys just talked about it moments ago, but you also want to touch on it as well. The Lakers bench here in the postseason.
Yeah, okay, so they were 11th in the regular season in bench scoring. Not bad, but certainly not quite the top 5 or anything like that. In the playoffs, they are number 4 in bench scoring. It's been a huge jump up for these guys. Really impressed by guys like Kyle Kuzma in the last 2 games. He's shooting 76%. And how great is that stat right there? Outscoring Houston by so many points in the last 2 games. It's almost comical. Can't forget Rondo, last 2 games, 15.5 points. And to me, the kind of quiet stat, 9 assists in each of those 2 games, really settling that second unit down. And, of course, getting plenty of run with that first unit. So those 2 guys, along with Alex Caruso quietly doing his thing, have really given the Lakers a presence off the bench.
Back to the starting lineup, a starter in particular, LeBron James, there in Game 3, exceptional on both sides of the ball. But you dug a little deeper into the block shots.
Yeah, Allie, so he's played 1,512 games in his career, but he had never blocked 4 shots in the same quarter until the other night. So this is a big deal for a guy who's done just about everything. And so he leads the all-time leaders in games played, victories in the playoffs, and also points scored in the playoffs. Pretty soon it'll be games played too, if that hasn't happened already. So I wanted to see where he was in blocks. He's actually 12th all-time in block shots in the playoffs. He actually passed Dr. J just the other night. And James, this is for you. See those 2 Celtics above LeBron on the list there? He has a shot at passing Kevin McHale, which I know is really going to make you sad. LeBron has played 242 games in his career in the playoffs, and he has 242 blocks. Quick math, he averages 1 a game. So if he plays about 40 more playoff games, eventually he will pass your friend James, Kevin McHale.
Easy.
He said easy. He said easy. Brez, well done as always. Stick around for just 1 minute, if you will, because we actually have a bonus point, the most important to all of your 3-point plays ever. Geeter, are you listening? You may think that we're going to break, but not so fast. We wanted to remind you on your born day just how young you are, but also how loved you are from your family here at Spectrum. So please, bask in your glory, courtesy of yourself.
You don't necessarily have to like everybody you work with because we all hate Geeter. We know that.
I make sure I rush home so I can watch myself on TV. It's a lot of fun. Oh! Shut up! When I was trying to make you miss and I said, go back to Phoenix, you loser. I did not mean that. There's no 50-year-olds out there. Just,
it's because you're here.
Young guys.
Happy birthday. It's your birthday.
Do that again. I'm Chris McGee and I'm old. Thanks for watching. You're the man, Geeter. Best analyst. Old plays. Hold on,
You're the man.
Hold on, who's that? What kind of body is that on me? The short arms and the. What is that, Big A?
We love you, man.
Thanks, man.
You know, been with you from the beginning. You're a stand-up guy, a great dad.
Trudell's in there.
Happy birthday, Geeter.
Hey, thanks, Mike.
Hold on.
Sweating.
Wait,
not 50 yet, guys. I'm not 50, Brez. I'm not there yet.
53 today.
Not yet.
Got another year, buddy.
Keep it away.
You can tell when someone's embarrassed because he's starting to sweat.
I know, man. Listen. By the way, Hank put that together, apparently. Hank, one of our producers, that was great. If there wasn't all the missed shots, I would post it. But I can't post that. It's embarrassing.
It's okay. I'll take care of that for you. I love posting about you. And I will also, we do want to say, because Steph, we love Steph. She wanted to deliver a cake, she wanted candles, she wanted balloons, but given COVID-19, we are not allowed to have all of that.
My kids thought the confetti cake was going to be coming today.
Yeah.
Plus, they got it for everybody
Next
else in
year,
the office. Days ago on their birthday, apparently.
Mother Nature had bigger plans, I guess.
Apparently, I don't.
I apologize. Welcome to your 50s.
Thank you, guys. I love you all. I love you all. Brez, what kind of Photoshop is this, Brez? Me coming out of a cake. I gotta get a picture of that. I gotta get a picture of that. Hold on.
Happy birthday, Guy.
Happy birthday,
You guys are great.
I work with used to be a dancer,
people.
apparently. I had no idea.
That's funny, man. You guys are great.
I was just gonna say your body's on point.
See, look at the short arms.
Your body's on
You know
point.
what? Thank you. Appreciate you guys, man. The big men for the Lakers have been one of their biggest strengths this season. Prior to this series, Dwight and JaVale were averaging over 35 minutes combined in 70 games, which include regular and postseason. Now the minutes, they're way down. JaVale's played in all three, but is averaging just over 9 minutes a game. Dwight, he only played in game one, has not played the last 2 games. At practice this week, head coach Frank Vogel discussed shortening the Bigs' minutes.
It's very important. You know, I always try to over-communicate with all of our players, make sure they know exactly what their role is on a given game or a given series and why. And, you know, just to make sure they still feel appreciated, that they still stay ready, because I do believe those guys have a place in this series. And, you know, they just got to understand that and continue to stay ready. They're playing, they're playing right now 4-on-4 or 5-on-5. To make sure they're staying ready. And, you know, with anything, you know, I think it's very important to just make sure you're communicating with guys, to being honest and setting an expectation.
Lakers lineup, guys, there has been a change. Just like we saw in the second half, game 3, the Lakers came out, played unbelievable defense. Remember, they're going with that lineup. Markieff Morris instead of JaVale McGee. AD, Danny Green, KCP, LeBron will stay the same. I said this earlier. We saw McGee limited minutes the first 3 games. We haven't seen Dwight in a while. Will we see Dwight or JaVale in this series again, Rob?
You know, now I don't think when it comes to bigs in this series, they're needed, because I think the tallest guy is, 6'6", and if you think about it, JaVale could play because he's a little bit more athletic than Dwight Howard. I don't think we're going to see Dwight Howard at all, but I hope that they still bring in JaVale, because JaVale at least get the tip, you know, the jump ball, go down, run that play they got where he gets a dunk, and then bring him out. There's a reason you could play him, but I hope they play him, because sometimes you can get offensive rebounds, get tips out, and and me personally, I hate when coaches don't coach their team. They automatically coach against the other team and think, okay, since they're this way, I got to play down to them. No, play your game and make them adjust to you.
We've seen that more over the last few years than we've ever seen it, because of the style that teams play. So I'll ask you this, James. You two never had to go through this. How important is it for Dwight and JaVale, like Frank said, they're playing 5-on-5, to stay ready, stay in shape, stay focused, because you never know. Next series comes, maybe you're a big part of it. Maybe you're a big part of this one down the road. Who knows?
Yeah, you definitely have to keep your phone on the hook. Yeah. You know, it can't be busy. You have to. And this is especially when you have to have mind over matter. You're not getting the minutes you're used to. So you really have to stay focused and practice and be ready to play. You know, the game has changed since I played, obviously. And, you know, Houston presents a problem for bigs who are used to defending, you know, in the paint and maybe around the free throw area. When you got a big out there trying to guard a 3, and the way Houston keeps that floor spread, it's difficult, because not only can they not get to the 3, but they can't get back and help and block shots. And then when that ball goes up, it's a foot race to the offensive, to the rebound. So they're out of position. It makes it a little bit more difficult. So I understand, you know, the lineup change. I think McGee, because I like Morris with Rondo. I really do. I like him with that second unit. McGee is fluid enough. He's a little bit more agile than Dwight. I think he can sustain some minutes, but I don't see Dwight in the series at all.
Yeah, I agree with both you guys. And listen, the Lakers have a luxury. They can match up with teams big. They can match up with teams small. Not everyone has that. Time for Access 360. Second half defense. Break it down. You going to the wall?
Yeah, I'm going to break it down. You know, I was going to go to the wall, but since James is over there in the way, I'm still. No, that's all right, dog. I'm going to stay right here. I'm going to stay right here, big baby. I don't want to interrupt your flow.
I'm standing over here anyway.
So here we're going to show you 360. We're going to show the defensive rotation, what the Lakers did best, you know, to stop the Rockets. Here you see it come down. You got KCP monitoring everything. He digs in. This is the key. You got to get into a foot in the paint to deter him. He kicks it out, and look at this rotation. Look, I've not seen LeBron move that fast in a long time, but he gets out there to one of the highest men in the bubble to stop him from shooting. He makes him put it on the floor. Look, and then they collapse. They collapse. They collapse their hands. They're active with their hands. They get a loose ball, and off the Rockets. Here, same thing. KCP's on it. On ball. Stand down. LeBron stays down. Push it back out. Look at this switch right here. And then this is a switch where they're connected. There's nobody's not connected. You're in the arm's length of the defender. Look, pull. You know, right here, everybody would have gave up. But LeBron, know he's one of the greatest shot blockers in the game. He runs the ball down. Patient. Right here, KCP goes to the hole. Nope, he passes off to Danny Green. Danny Green, I'm sorry, so you missed that. But look, AD didn't give up on the play. He tips it from here. Look at AD. Look at Washington. Look at AC Fresh. Watch. Everybody's watching. Look, now AC Fresh. Look, as he rotates back. The point is he's keeping him on his chest and he's keeping his hands up. That's the key to playing good defense. Keep the offensive guy on your chest. Now you got a controlled break. That's why we have Rondo. We love him so much. He controlled the break. Look, you just made a great play on the other end. We're going to give you the rock. We're going to let you shoot. Get your little sugar. Get your name in the paper. Now you got another play. Look at this chase by Rondo. Rondo doesn't give up. Look how smart Rondo was. He knows James Harden gets those silly fouls. He avoids him, gets out of it. But look at the Kuz, though. Look at the Kuz machine. Playing halfway. Gets out the covenant. Look at AD back. AD dips in, then dips out and gets the steal. Doesn't go out of bounds. Stays in bounds. Gets the steal. And that's the key. The rotation, James, by these guys were phenomenal. They were playing. They were talking. They was getting in position. Put in the paint and out to the three-point line to contest those shooters or get them run them off that line.
Yep. I'm working hard.
I'm working hard.
You know, Rob, do you remember the games in practice that were the most fun were the defensive games? You know, you have to stop somebody 5 times, the other team has to run. That's what that was. Boy, you don't want to lose those games in practice. The most fun games is its defense. When they're that connected and, you know, they're communicating, they're going to be hard to beat. They really are. I don't care what lineup's in there. And, you know, the fact that they were able to switch, play a little zone sometimes. I've never seen them do that much. Then they were playing like a boxing one, and then they double-teamed Harden at the point of you know, emphasis right there. They gave a lot of different looks. Caruso on the vertical with Harden. Learn not to let his hands get in the way. Just use his body. There's a lot of things you can break down at their defense. And then, like Rob said, the ability to score off of their defense, it made all the difference in the world.
You know, it's a crazy number. The Rockets have played 18 games, playoffs and regular seasons, where they've shot 40% or better from 3. They're 16-2. Those 2 losses are the last 2 games. It's okay if they hit threes in a high percentage. When the Lakers win the rebounding and that points in the paint battle, James, I feel like that's their recipe.
Yeah, 56 points in the paint. You know, not fouling as much. You know, that's where the Rockets compensate for a lack of shooting sometimes. Harden getting to the line a lot, and you have to foul because of the way they play. So I think they just did a, you know, phenomenal job and, you know, executing their defense. We know the Rockets can get hot, score 41 points in the third quarter. But if they play like they did collectively and they're on a string, like Rob just demonstrated in that 360, I think they're going to be okay.
You know, the thing about the Rockets, if you look at a lot of their 3-point shots, they're uncontested shots. And you should knock those down at a high clip. But when you're able to push them off that line and make them kind of panic when the shot clock is running down, that's when they're at the best. But the biggest key is what James said, free throw line. If you go and look at what the Rockets do from the free throw line, especially James Harden, that's 15 points he gets from the free throw line.
When they get you there, they're winning.
And that's a problem. That's 15 free points they get, and they're not getting that, so they're not winning.
All right, we're getting closer to tip-off. Game 4, James Harden hasn't had any problem with his shot. 53% from the field, 48% from deep in this series. Coming up, LeBron James is 35 years young, and he is dominating in the playoffs. Ahead, we'll discuss how the league should be afraid of an activated King James.
I'm on my job, I'm doing my thing, I'm flexing before to do it again. They say whatever, and I don't just...
This is LA.
Game 3, LeBron James became the NBA's all-time leader in playoff wins with 162. LeBron passing Laker legend Derek Fisher. The top of the list, our good friend, Big Shot Rob, right there at 155. Kyle Kuzma taking to Twitter to share some thoughts on the MVP race, and I think a lot of players feel this way. Yo, media, I'm going to tell you this. If y'all mess this up, MVP, like you did the Defensive Player of the Year, we're going to have issues for real. Allie. I have to ask you. We actually kind of had a FaceTime that night for a second, and there were some texts as well. LeBron, the way he looked in Game 3, I know you've seen that many times, but for Laker fans, the way he was attacking and scoring in that first half, it was just different than I think something they have seen in the uniform before. What were your thoughts when you saw him, just that look in his face in that first half?
My thoughts were to call Geeter and scream via FaceTime, which I did. Because I think given what you said, the amount of times I have seen him take over, the special moments, the zones that he finds himself in, the ability to put his hand on the game on both ends of the floor, I was even surprised by what he came out with there in Game 3. But I think what we can all agree on is, especially when it comes to superstars in this game, in the playoffs, they have that innate ability to have a feel, to have an understanding of timing and moments and how important that Game 3 was, because Houston is a team that's so high potent that you don't want to fall back a game to. And I think being tied 1-1, it allowed him to set that tone and remind his teammates, yo, come on, come with me.
Yeah, I think you're right. I actually thought about that. Like, he was basically saying, I'm here. I'll wait for you guys to get here because this is where I'm at. And it's funny when you watch him play, like we talk so much offensively, he's just, listen, he's LeBron James, right? Like you see it every single night. But at 35 and 17 years in, I feel like what you're seeing from him defensively, James, you just don't see it with a guy at that age and a guy who carries that much offensive load. Superstars on offense usually aren't playing that kind of defense.
Yeah, and in any sport, I can't think of any sport where someone with that many miles on his body at that age is still producing as if this is his second or third year. I think he's like, Murray or somebody, one of these young kids that only has 2 or 3 years. But, it's one thing to be great, and there's been a lot of great players, but then there's another thing about being great and elite and then understanding every aspect of the game, every facet of the game. When you know each team, you know each game, how to play each game, the importance of a game, when he needs to rise in any category, whether that's scoring and defense or all of them at the same time. It's hard to find. Magic was like that. Kareem would just play the game. He didn't really have a lot to say, and, he just led by example. But when you find great play, Kobe was like that. They understand the moment, who they're playing against, and that's hard to do because that changes from game to game to quarter. And LeBron seems to have the pulse of that all the time, no matter who he's playing or what team he's with.
I've always felt it was a great compliment to LeBron, someone who won 7 championships and played with so many all-time greats. I remember you saying, I wish I would have had a chance to play with LeBron James. When you watched him in the first half the other night, when you're just watching the game and you see it, you're with your son, your wife, you're watching that game, and you see him scoring like that, what does that tell you?
It lets you know he's engaged and he's wants to go up 2-1.
Yeah, that's from the get-go.
From the get-go, he wants to establish himself and put some doubt in their mind. Because a lot of times you look at guys, you look at these guys that have a little longer than tooth up there in age, it's okay, it's playoff. He's going to be a little tired tonight. But he came out and said, yo, I'm fresh, LeBron. I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to set the tone early. And then it reminds me of one of those moments where, like Shaq says, come to say, yo, give me the ball early because I want to get y'all on my back to make it easier for you around me during the game. And you like it when those top dogs says, I'm feeling the night, come to me early, then y'all fill in when you get in.
And Allie, obviously the signature play of LeBron's career is the block from behind on Iggy in Game 7. It's an iconic moment for him. So you've seen him do that all the time. But those 4 blocks in the third were pretty special. I don't know who he thought he was there, but he was blocking like he was a center.
But that's the thing, is how great that first half was. To your point of being engaged and understanding the moment, to have those blocks in the third quarter.
Yeah, and not even scoring. He wasn't really scoring.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think this is, too, where ultimately when you think of that and you look at the way in which he played, we want to think year 17, 35, but then we're also reminded about the dollars he puts into his body, the commitment, the grind that he dedicates to being available, to being ready, to being healthy, and to be able to perform at this level. But there was one thing yesterday that kind of clicked for me too. He posted on social media nap time in that hyperbaric chamber, and I was wondering if maybe that had just arrived in Orlando. I don't know. We know he naps in those things a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe it just got to Orlando, and that helped to energize and juice him up a little bit.
Hey,
I don't know, but it was spectacular. Yeah.
And if he needs more, keep sending him.
Yeah, exactly.
Rob, can I borrow your chamber?
Yeah, I wish I had one.
The reason why you're so good looking, Rob. Looking like young man out
That's because I get it from my mama.
Okay. All right. LeBron isn't the only 35-year-old working this series. I am as well. I just turned 35 today. Houston's P.J. Tucker has been going.